the picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm YouTubes. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Thursday afternoon. Talk some sports betting. We got a bunch of live sports in action tonight and this weekend to really give you guys some picks. And that's even before, NBA season starts up next week. So that adds more fun. We're not even touching on NHL today, John. But, we got Thursday night football to break down tonight. We got college football week 8 picks that I'll be giving out here. And we got 2 baseball postseason games tonight. So today and tonight, we get the first one starting up in about an hour. So we'll be giving out picks for all these games. John, how you doing, man? You ready to talk some sports? I love these Thursday shows.
Yeah, listen, usually I'm on Tuesdays with you. We do a little recap, give a little early preview, but I played a little hooky on Tuesday, went golfing, so I'm here now on a Thursday.
How'd you shoot?
Everything was great except on the greens. It was a tough day on the greens. It was a private course, played with my father-in-law, one of these tournaments that he was in. So probably one of the nicer courses that I've ever played down at the Cape. But the greens were very difficult. I think I had 49 total putts, which is not good. It's 2.8 putts per green, shot at 104. As somebody that usually shoots in like the low 90s, it's a frustrating day out there on the greens. So
listen, I'm full aware of how frustrating putting can be. I'm the kind of golfer that I can get to around the green in like 2 or 3 shots, depending on whatever the par is. But then once I get on the green, I'm like 3 putting, 4 putting. It's bad. So.
Again, I'm generally not as bad as I was here. They tried to warn us too. They're like, listen, these greens, they roll. We're like, all right, yeah, no problem. First putt, basically putted it off the green. I was like, I'm in for a long day. I'm not going to be able to do it. So
at that point, you just got to have fun with your father-in-law, right?
Exactly. So great course, great day. But now I'm happy to be here with you on a Thursday, my friend.
Yeah. These Thursday shows are always fun because, again, we got Thursday night football. While the baseball playoffs are still going on, we got some baseball to talk about. And then, I'm excited to talk college football. A lot of really good games this weekend to dive into and give some picks out to the people. And these Thursday night, Monday night, like these single game shows, we've had some success. Me and Howard on Monday night, I think last week and the weeks before, me and Grande on these Thursday nights. So you got big shoes to fill for this single game breakdown.
I'm ready for it. I think the last time I was on here with you 2 Tuesdays ago, we went 4-0 with our baseball plays. So
there you go.
Ready to rock it, man.
Listen, we'll get to baseball soon, but yesterday me and Howard went 3-0 with our picks, or actually 2-1. Sorry, the hit by pitch thing. So I had Alvarez over half a walk, and he got hit by a pitch. In my mind, that's a walk, but it's not a walk. It does not count. So
I feel that way with the total bases when walks don't count. I'm like, but he got on first,
right?
And, people's argument is, well, then the total base prop would be higher than it's listed at. Fine, I don't care. Give me the option to allow him to walk 4 times. We
should make that a prop, like walks plus hits.
It's like why are we limiting what a total base counts? If the man gets on first, that's 1 base. It doesn't matter how he got there.
Yeah. By the way, if you have any of your own picks or bets you want to throw in the chat here, definitely hit us up because, you guys sometimes I know Smokey the Cat is already in there with the money bags because he's always throwing out parlays that are hitting. And sometimes you guys have picks that are smarter than ours. So definitely throw them in the chat here. We got Steven Fegan also chiming in on the chat here. Modelo always helps him putt better.
I was drinking some spiked Arnold Palmers. I don't know if you check those out at your local liquor store. They're a delight.
That's a good golf course drink.
Yeah.
You gotta pace yourself with these drinks in the golf course too. It's always the trick.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into Thursday night football. A lot of stuff to get to today. We got Jaguars-Saints tonight. Should be a fun game between 2 teams that are vying for their division leads this year. Saints are 2-point favorites on the latest spread here. 40 and a half is the over under wherever you're looking. Should be another low scoring Thursday night game. But the Saints, it is interesting. They all have moved to 2-point favorites, so maybe 2.5 wherever you're looking, because the Trevor Lawrence injury is like the huge, whether or not he'll play is the huge news for tonight to kind of keep an eye out for. He's a game time decision. So, if we get word that he is active and playing, we could see the Jaguars start to get some late money. And if he is ruled out, I'm sure we'll see the Saints go up to 3-point favorites or more. So we'll see on that.
Yeah, I just saw a report, actually. They say he's expected to play barring any sort of pregame issues.
Yeah.
So should be good to go there for Trevor.
Yeah, well, just keep that in mind. If he plays, expect him to be a little limited. So also bake that in. All right, let's get into any picks, player props that we have for this. Where are you going with one of yours?
I'm going to go Brandon McManus over 1.5 field goals made here. I do generally like kicker props in these games that have these low totals. And you're looking at this inside a dome, which is great. Have that controlled environment. And McManus has gotten some pretty good opportunities to kick some field goals. Plus, again, if we're looking at Jacksonville, maybe their offense isn't able to get going as much because Lawrence is a bit limited here. So, Saints have a decent run defense. Their pass defense is pretty good. Maybe they get over the 50-yard line there, but they stifle out because they can't get it in there, and they settle in on some field goals. So give me the McManus over 1.5 field goals. Plus, I like taking these props on kickers that can basically kick from anywhere on the field, right? Like Elliott and guys like that. Tucker at 60-yard range. McManus is one of those guys with that ilk. So we'll run there today.
Yeah, and you mentioned being in a dome definitely helps the kickers, obviously. So, this game, if it was in Jacksonville, maybe whatever rain is happening, I'd look that way. But yeah, being in the dome for sure, that helps them. All right, I'll go with an offensive prop here. Give me Chris Olave over 62.5 receiving yards. BetMGM had it at -110. I just look at, the Jaguars pass defense, second worst in terms of yards allowed per game this year. So immediately I was looking at, things on the Saints side of things, and it really comes down to Olave or Michael Thomas. I think you can look at both, but I'm going Olave here as, the lead target getter for the Saints this year. Leads the team in receptions, yards, air yards, targets this season. He's a clear favorite for Derek Carr. And he's cleared this line, 62.5 in 4 of 6 games this year. Also has 86 at least receiving yards in 4 of those 6, 10 plus targets in 4 of those 6 too. And the 2 games he went under, they need some context because one of the games was Derek Carr dealing with a shoulder injury where it was a bad passing day overall for the Saints. And then week 5, he also went under, but Olave rolled his ankle pregame, and then the Saints it was a blowout win over the Patriots. So they did not need to pass much late in that game for sure. So those are the 2 unders, but in this game, tight spread, we should see plenty of Saints passing attacks against this Jags defense that again
Tyson Campbell is out tonight for Jacksonville. He's one of their best cornerbacks.
Okay.
On the team. Yeah. So, again, you take Tyson Campbell out. Not 100% certain he was the guy being matched up on Olave, but last year Pro Football Focus ranked Tyson Campbell, or PFF ranked Tyson Campbell as a top 10 cornerback in football. So not on the field this year, not tonight from that matchup. I could see Olave taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm just pulling it up right now because JB Barry does our wide receiver cornerback matchup report over at Fantasy Alarm. And he has Olave matched up with Trey Herndon for Jacksonville. And he has it as a great matchup because Herndon, according to PFF, is one of the worst corners to match up with. So I feel like that kind of boosts Olave, especially if he's going between the slot or outside. But you look at, by the way, past top receivers against the Jaguars this season. We've seen Michael Pittman have 97 and 109 receiving yards in his 2 games. Diggs went for 121. Gabe Davis went for 100 in that game. Tank Dell, 145. And even Sky Moore had 70 receiving yards. So I think Olave can get over this number based on the track record of top receivers going against this defense.
Yeah, 100% in on with you. I like the Olave prop a lot. I actually am in a league where I had to choose between Lawrence or Carr, and I went Carr tonight. I just think that is better spot, better matchup at home. Yeah. It's where we're running. Next play for me, we're going to go defense. I like Brian Brees over 0.25 sacks. He's plus 285 to get that. He's got 1.5 sacks on the year in 3 games. It's only got to get half a sack to be credited with the over on this one. And we're talking about Lawrence maybe being a little bit gimpy here. That offensive line could be a little bit in trouble. And again, I generally like the Saints defense overall, especially when they're at home. They just play better on that turf. So give me the over sack here for Brees.
I love it. You're always coming with these plus money, usually in baseball, it's stolen bases.
Yeah.
But
plus 285 for a half a sack on a guy that's got 1.5 sacks in 3 games. I'll take it.
Yeah, and he's a guy, as a rookie, he's rising up now. He's getting more comfortable in that defense.
Is playing. So, I'm going to give it a go here tonight. Hopefully he can just, get a hand on Lawrence while, someone else is taking him down and we get the half.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll stick with the defense prop here. I love going to these defensive props on these Thursday and Monday night games. So I got another one. Rayshon Jenkins over 5.5 tackles plus assists, minus 140 on DraftKings. So the middle linebacker for Jacksonville, Foyesade Aluquan, I think is how you say it. He is like the main, tackle guy for the Jags defense. But I'm not looking at his prop. I'm looking at Jenkins because as the strong safety for Jacksonville, he is second on the team in tackles this year. And their defense, that 3-4 defense, calls for Jenkins to be, closer to the line of scrimmage, be one of their top run stuffers in the run game, but also with the Saints, they run a lot of shorter passes, shorter completions for Carr, which I think is still a great spot for Jenkins to be, around some of these shorter completions to get tackles. And you look at the Saints this year, go through all their game logs, the safeties against the Saints are among the top tacklers every single game. In their 6 games this year for the Saints, 10 of the 12 safeties against them have had 6+ tackles. Have gone over this line. That's 10 of 12. And usually in most of those games, it's been both safeties having 6+ tackles against them. You can look at Andre Sisco, I think, for Jacksonville too, the free safety. But I think Jenkins is a strong safety, going to be there when, Kamara is running it or shorter completions to Olave and Michael Thomas or the tight ends. Like, I feel like Jenkins is a really good spot here to go over this line. I just think it's a little too low. And he's a guy last year, he averaged 6.8 total tackles per game, tackles plus assists. This year, he's been a little down at 5.8 per game, but I still think he's been over it in 3 of 6 games so far for him. So I think he gets back there.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think that there's a pretty good spot here. One, we know that Jacksonville does like to run the football, so as a safety, they could come up and make some tackles. The Saints rather like to run the football a little bit. Could have a safety come up and make some tackles. Plus, Alvin Kamara active in the passing game. Generally, safeties are guys that kind of come down and make those plays. So I do like that over there for sure.
Sweet.
And then my last one here, we're going to go under points, under 40.5 tonight. Thursday night football, these two offenses don't really feel like we're going to be in a shootout. So I think the under 4.5 is trending for me here today.
Yeah, I if I had to make a pick on the total, it would definitely be the under. So I didn't go that way, but yeah, it's the under for me too. They didn't make I don't have a strong lean on the game itself, the spread. And I will say, I think this depends on the news for Lawrence, because if we do get word, the spread's 2 right now for the Saints. If we get official word that Lawrence is active, I feel like this is going to move more closer to a pick 'em. And if we get word that he's out, the money will for sure come on the Saints, and might see them at 3-point favorites or more. So kind of keep an eye on that. And if you have a feeling either way, I would jump on it now before it moves. Either way, you get value on both sides, I think, before we get official word on Lawrence. But either way, if he plays, he's going to be limited, and the under is overall, I think, the best play here. So I'm with you on that. By the way, live right now over on fantasyalarm.com, you can check out just a best bets article and a DFS playbook, but the best bets from Howard Bender. He breaks down some of his leans on this game and player props as well. So definitely check his out. You get that with the Fantasy Alarm All-Pro subscription, by the way, if you haven't already. Also with the All-Pro subscription, you get the DFS playbook, showdown playbook for this game, that if you want to build some DFS lineups. So scan that QR code right on the screen, or go to.
This might be the last day to do this too, by the way. Little birdie told me we are closing in on the end of our lock deal. So
promo code lock.
Promo code LOCK. Annual subscriptions, $100 off. Comes out to less than $16 a month. Get access to all of our premium content, like Dan said, not just the best bets we do every day, but all of our DFS content. I've been touting it a lot this week here, Dan, but UFC, big pay-per-view this Saturday, and our UFC writer, Mike Iannone, last week took down another GVP. It's like his 5th or 6th takedown, like first place overall takedown.
Wow.
And he puts all of his content, obviously, on Fantasy Alarm, all of his DFS playbooks. But then you get in our premium Discord, and he puts his fighter exposures into our Discord. So you can go see the percentages of exposure he has of fighter A versus fighter B and how he's building out his roster construction. So there's as much value in getting our subscription in the Discord than it is all the content we put out there, because you get access to myself, to Dan, to Mike, to Howard, to Coop, the whole team here. So check it out now, fantasystorm.com/lock, promo code LOCK. I'm telling you, I think today's the last day. Little Birdie told me it might be the last day today.
Jump on it. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned UFC. We got every sport covered. Earlier this week there was the PGA DFS playbook and from Drew Phelps out there. NHL DFS going on now. NBA starting up next week, so you want to jump on it before that. College football. I got the DFS playbook for the main slate on Saturday coming up. So you want to jump on these, whatever sport you're interested in.
When the NASCAR season swings back around, we'd be 3-time Racing Writer of the Year Matt Sells giving you all of his DFS and betting content. I mean, hard to beat it.
Heck yeah. About less than a month, we got college basketball. I'll be doing some college basketball DFS. That'll be fun. Yeah. So, get on these now. Get on this promo code LOCK now before it's too late. Speaking of, by the way, our producer, Adam Bernard, thrown in the chat, our personal chat here, says he likes Cam Jordan to go over a quarter of a sack, plus 145. Says that's intriguing because he's due. We know we love the due angle because guys are due. And listen, on a primetime stage, I can see Cam Jordan coming through for a sack. So don't mind that one. If you want to jump on another defensive prop for this Thursday night game. All right, let's talk some college football. We got some ALCS, NLCS picks coming up in just a little bit. But we got to talk college football because this is gonna be me on Saturday. Every Saturday, I'm watching all these big games. Huge Oregon-Washington game last weekend was awesome to watch. This weekend we got Penn State, Ohio State. And by the way, if you think you know college football, prove it. Compete against me in the Servo 7 college football totals competition this weekend, powered by BettorEdge. Make the most correct picks in this free competition and get paid out. You get entered by signing up on BettorEdge at bettoredge.com/better. Use promo code BETTOR to get $20 when you sign up and verify. No deposit required. It's an awesome, easy competition where, we got 20 or so games to pick from, but you just make 7 selections where you go over or under the totals. No spreads or winners really needed. Just pick the over-under on totals. All right, one of my picks for this one, I'll give out one that I'm going with. You can fade me, you can follow this one, but give me the Penn State, Ohio State under in this game. Over on the BettorEdge, it's at 48, but it's at 45.5 over on some sports books. I still like the under there as like one of my bets this week too. We've seen Ohio State play in a similar matchup as this one, where it's going to be 2 really good defenses. And that was against Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, and that was a 17-14 final score. I feel like it's going to be a similar, scene here because Ohio State's offense, they really lack some of the explosive plays that we've seen from years past. They have a lot of banged up guys too. Emeka Egbuka, the really good receiver, next to Marvin Harrison Jr. He was out last week. He's reportedly going to play, but he's coming off an injury. TreVeyon Henderson, their really, really good running back, is also banged up. Might play, might not. But overall, just some of the vibes around Ohio State, they're just not as explosive. And Penn State's defense has been legit this year. And we saw Ohio State be limited offensively against a good defense in Notre Dame. I think it's going to happen again here. And the other side, Penn State has yet to face a good defense like Ohio State's yet. They've really benefited from an easier early season schedule, but this is by far the toughest defense they've faced. So I think this is going to be a really defensive-minded, defensive-focused game where especially with Penn State, they're a team that likes to run, lean on the run game heavily. Also doesn't don't have a lot of explosive playmakers on that side. I just feel like this is going to be a very, lower scoring game. Penn State's going to play Ohio State tough. The spread's only 4.5, but I feel like it's going to come down to maybe a late score either way to win this. But overall, I could just see this being, like a 20-17 final score. I don't see a lot of scoring in this game. So give me the under for Penn State, Ohio State this weekend.
Should be a good one there. I got a question for you, though. We got USC versus Utah. Was last week them getting exposed against a tougher competition? We're looking at them here. They're -6.5 against Utah this week. Is Caleb Williams all that can be now? Does that hurt his Heisman chances getting blown up like that against Notre Dame?
It definitely hurt his Heisman chances. And on Tuesday's show, actually, we talked some Heisman odds. And I mentioned, it's just Caleb Williams' Heisman chances are probably done after that game, unfortunately. Also, just coming off, trying to win back-to-back Heisman. It's just something that hasn't been done since Archie Griffin from Ohio State back in the 70s. So that's always in the back of my mind. But I do think USC bounces back here. I like them getting the 6.5 here. By the way, I'm moving this to 6.5. It's at 7 in some sports books, but I'd rather pay, -132 on DraftKings to get the 6.5 to make sure USC can win by at least a touchdown here. I think they're going to rebound. The offense is going to rebound because the main thing is, that loss came against a Notre Dame team that's, not in their conference. The Pac-12 title is still in reach. It's still alive for USC. And I feel like they're going to want to get back on track here, against a ranked Utah team, which, by the way, this Utah team is just, I think they're a little overrated because they've really survived some of their easier games at home, and they're a much different team away from home. Last year, we saw the same thing with Utah. They're just like a different, they have a really good home field advantage in Utah at their home stadium, but away from that stadium, they're just like a different team, especially their defense just isn't as strong. And mostly in this game, I don't see how Utah keeps pace and scores to really stay within a touchdown here for USC because they're still an offense that's without their starting quarterback, Cam Rising, who has been out all year, and I doubt he comes back. There's been a lot of rumors that he's going to redshirt this year, but their offense just does not have the playmakers, the explosiveness to keep pace with the USC team that can, put up a 50 spot in any spot, and especially at home for USC here at night too, I think is huge. So I'm looking at USC to rebound here. Utah, by the way, they are 2-4 against the spread on the road last year with 3 outright losses. We've seen them against on the road this season. 0-2 against the spread. And one of those was, a 14-point loss to Oregon State. So I just don't see them keeping pace with USC here. So yeah, give me the Trojans to rebound from last week's loss and get back to it.
Another Heisman hopeful here. We have Jordan Travis going up against Duke this week. Florida State giving 13.5.
Yeah, give me Florida State taking the favorite again here, but I just don't see how Duke, keeps pace with Florida State here because this is Duke's first real road game all season. They played UConn on the road, but that is no comparison to Florida State at home at night too in this matchup. So this is a really tough test for Duke, and they're still playing without last week we saw Riley Leonard, the really good quarterback, dual threat guy. He was out last week. They beat NC State without him, but it really wasn't pretty offensively for them, and they kind of benefited from playing a bad NC State team. This is just a completely different matchup, a lot tougher matchup on the road now. And Leonard is likely out again. He's got his ankle injury. Kind of keep an eye on that. But if he does play, his running and dual threat ability is a huge part of his game and what makes his game, a big threat to defenses, but also just the Duke offense being a lot more dangerous. And if he's limited, which he assume he's going to be because it was a bad ankle injury he suffered, he's not going to be as much of a threat running wise. And if he's out, that it's the backup who is just in a tough spot on the road here. And he was okay last week against NC State, but it wasn't pretty. And I just don't see how he has much success against a really good Florida State defense. Florida State, by the way, they're 4-2 against the spread this year. So I think they're going to continue that trend. And again, Duke is just, they haven't faced a defense like this, but they also haven't faced an offense like Florida State's yet. So, give me the Seminoles to win easy at home.
Sure. We have the Heisman favorite, Michael Penix Jr. at home against Arizona State. That's got a 27.5 point spread. Which way are we leaning on this one, Servo?
Give me the underdogs. Give me the 27.5 points in this one. So Washington coming off that huge win over Oregon last week. It was an emotional, hard-fought game. If you've watched these shows or if you read my best bets articles over on Fantasy Alarm, I like targeting against teams that are coming off like a huge win where there could be a little bit of a letdown. And I'm doing it again here because as good as that win was, it was a hard-fought game. It was a game they honestly could have lost. I feel like Oregon was the better team. They just, they missed a field goal to send the game into overtime. So who knows, if Oregon comes out ahead actually in that game. But I just see this as a slight letdown for a Washington team that, has tougher games than Arizona State coming up. They still have a lot of their top tier Pac-12 matchups on deck in the second half of the season. I feel like they're going to be looking past Arizona State here, who is coming off its bye week, which came in at a much needed time for them with a lot of injuries. And I feel like it's a chance to get healthier, a chance for, their quarterback to be a lot more comfortable now that he had to fill in for some of these injured guys. And I feel like they're going to just, play Washington tougher than this spread indicates. Arizona State, by the way, 2-0 against the spread as double-digit underdogs this year. Had a good cover against USC already, against Cal too as double-digit underdogs. And since 2005, interesting stat here, since 2005, Arizona State 71% against the spread as a double-digit underdog. They're just a team that every year they play some of these top-tier teams tougher than you might think. So I think the 27.5 points is a lot for just like a Washington team, maybe getting a little bit of a letdown, and Arizona State, coming off the bye, fresh legs, and really going to go out there trying to, I don't think they will, but trying to pull the upset. Who knows? So, give me the Sun Devils as the underdogs here.
Are you feeling a similar letdown spot here when it comes to matchup UCF versus Oklahoma?
Yeah. So this is another one. Give me the underdogs. Give me UCF here. So Oklahoma 2 weeks ago had that big win over Texas, that Red River Showdown win, won in the last seconds in that game, and they're really, they're the clear front runners now in the Big 12. It's really setting up for another Oklahoma-Texas matchup in the Big 12 championship, probably to go to the college football playoff. But that was 2 weeks ago, and they had a bye week this past week. I feel like that bye comes at a terrible time because they weren't able to kind of ride the momentum from the previous game and just ride it into their next couple games. They had a bye week to really kind of put a damper on some of that momentum, some of that hype. And I feel like they're just going to take UCF a little too easily here. And by the way, UCF also coming off their bye week. It came at a great time for them because they lost 3 straight to open Pac-12 play. Also didn't have their quarterback, John Reese Plumlee, fully healthy for all 3 of those losses. He's now reportedly, close to 100% for this game coming out of the bye, which is huge because UCF's offense is really reliant on Plumlee's running ability. And he had a knee injury, but now that he's close to being, 100% healthy, his running and dual threat ability is legit. And it's going to be, they can keep pace. This totals at 64.5. I feel like this is going to be one of those higher scoring games where UCF is not going to be down more than 2 touchdowns later in the game. So I think this is a prime spot, especially, Oklahoma, maybe if they have a big lead, they start resting some guys. I see UCF keeping this closer than this spread indicates because, OU, for whatever reason, they're probably going to look at UCF, being a new member of the Big 12 and not taking them too seriously anyway, because they have better matchups coming up. And I feel like this is just a little bit of a letdown after the 2-week layoff for Oklahoma. So, yeah, give me UCF as the underdogs here.
Finishing up here, we got a battle in the Pac-12. We have Washington State going into Oregon to face Bo Nix. They're 18.5-point underdogs here on the road. Are we going with the Ducks here?
Give me Oregon. This is a weird week because I'm going with some big favorites. I'm going with some big underdogs, but I like Oregon to rebound from that loss last week against Washington. I think this team's going to be motivated to really show out and prove that they are legit, that they, as I mentioned, they probably could have and should have won that game against Washington. They missed a field goal to send the game into overtime. I thought they played better overall that game. They just didn't make some of the little plays, especially late in the game, to really get the win. But I think Oregon's going to come out with like a different motivation, different vibe. In contrast to other games that I've broken down here and in the past weeks, where we could see like a letdown from teams that lose those big games, I don't think that's Oregon. I think they're going to be looking to really bounce back, and it's a crucial spot because they have a road matchup against Utah coming next week, and other tougher games in the Pac-12 coming down the line. This one at home against a reeling, a Washington State team that's reeling right now. They start out hot. They start out undefeated, but they've really fallen off. They've lost to UCLA and Arizona in the past 2 weeks. And last week's 44-6 loss at home to Arizona is really ugly. I just, the vibes around Washington State have really flipped for me. And, I backed UCLA against Washington State a couple of weeks ago, and it paid off because my read about Washington State is that they were just kind of a pretender, being that, undefeated team early in the year, but they're just not on the same tier as a team like Oregon for sure. And this is the toughest defense that Washington State has faced all season. So I think this is a tough spot for them. I see their losing streak to continue here. Oregon, by the way, last week they were 3-point underdogs to Washington. Ended up being a push on the spread there, losing by 3. But as favorites this year, they're 5-0 against the spread. And they've covered some big spreads with no problem. They're 4-0 against the spread as 3 touchdown favorites or more. And that's basically what we have here as 18.5-point underdogs. This spread, by the way, I got it at 18.5 on FanDuel. It's at like 20 in some places, but I think as long as it's under 21 points, I would back Oregon here to get the comfortable win over Washington State.
I like it. Any other plays for Week 8 college football you want to give the public, or should they go and check out your best bets article?
Yeah,
coming out.
I got a best bets article over on Fantasy Arm right now. Use the All Pro subscription to get that because I got picks for Air Force Navy. Going to be an interesting, military academies facing off for the first time this year. I got a pick for that game for Saturday. Also got a pick for UCLA Stanford that I have in there. So yeah, go check out the article for picks for those games if you want some more. All right, so that's college football week 8. Should be a fun weekend in college football. All right, we got a couple more MLB postseason games today. We had Astros Rangers last night. Saw the Astros get a game back in that series, but just about a half hour from now, we have NLCS Game 3 between the Phillies and Diamondbacks, and then after that, tonight is the Astros Rangers Game 4. Let's first touch on Diamondbacks Phillies for this game starting up in about a half hour. Any plays for this game?
I think that we have to just keep rolling with the Phillies, don't we, here at this point? I mean, I know
I'm not going to argue that. Trust me.
I know you're a Phillies fan here, but it just feels like that's the way we need to keep leaning. Arizona's going with Brandon Pfaadt here today, but there's also been some reports out there that they may lean more into like a bullpenny type game here where they run Pfaadt out there, then they turn it over to the pen and try to piecemeal this one together to get themselves over the hump and hopefully get to Gallen in Game 5. So I don't think that happens. I think you see Philly kind of just run through this one.
Listen, I'm not going to argue against the Phillies money line bet there. My pick for this one, I'm going back to something that's been cashing for me. Bryce Harper over a half a walk for this one. He's now drawn a walk in at least a walk in 6 of the last 7 postseason games for the Phillies. We saw it last game with how hot he's rolling, with the threat to go deep at any at bat. The Diamondbacks, I think, should be looking to pitch around him again. Maybe not just a straight intentional walk, but we've seen his at bats. They're throwing a lot of off-speed stuff that's just kind of diving down into the dirt, trying to get him to chase maybe early in the count. And but he's been patient, and he's recognizing that, which I think is huge, because he's not chasing a lot of these pitches. He knows he's only going to get maybe one or two pitches in the strike zone, and it might come if he does chase. So I think that he's going to continue to get pitched around, especially because the Phillies keep rolling Alec Boehm behind Harper in the cleanup spot. You know, there was some chatter maybe they might move Castellanos up to the cleanup spot because of how good he's been hitting, but they're still rolling with Boehm at the cleanup spot. And as long as that happens, Boehm is not hitting well. He's slumping right now in the postseason. And if you're a pitcher, if you're the Diamondbacks, why would you not just like force Boehm to beat you and just, you know, kind of let put Harper on base, especially if no one's on base ahead of him, to just get him on. And, you know, especially if you have 2 outs, just try to get Boehm to ground out or pop out. So it's worked for teams in the past. So I think, this is desperation win now mode for Arizona, and I don't see them wanting to pitch to Harper every one of his at bats tonight.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you 100%. I think that's a great play.
Yeah. So as long as it keeps cashing, I'm going to keep going back to it. All right. How about Rangers, Astros, game 4? That's tonight. Again, we saw the Astros win last night. Big 8-5 win, higher scoring game for that one. Any picks for this game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go here. We're going Dolis Garcia over. I think over RBI. I think I had or a run scored rather. Jose Urquidy really struggles against right-handed hitters on the season. He's got a 5.45 FIP, 354 WOBA, a 474 slugging percentage allowed, 1.7 home runs per 9. So I'm liking Adolis Garcia here on the over to get to make some noise in this game.
Yeah, Urquidy doesn't offer much confidence on the Astros side of things.
He actually shuts lefties down pretty well, but righties just do the damage. I think he's holding lefties to an average this year. It was 215 batting average allowed to left-handed hitters. So like maybe Seager gets neutralized a little bit, but I do like the righty bats, and Adolis to me in the middle of that lineup feels like a good bet tonight.
Yeah, reverse splits guy. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to the other side of pitching things. I think we're on opposite sides of this, but my pick is Andrew Heaney under 11.5 outs. It's a low number. 11.5 is very low. This means we're banking on him not going 4 innings tonight. But I just don't see Heaney going deep into this game. We saw Heaney pitch in the ALDS against the Orioles. He only went 3 2/3 in that start before getting pulled. And that came despite him only allowing 2 hits and 1 run in that outing before they pulled him. And I feel like it just seemed like that was a foregone plan for Heaney, because they brought in Dane Dunning, the righty, after him as a bulk reliever kind of guy.
That guy.
Yeah. I see the same thing happening here. Even if Heaney gets through the Astros lineup once through or 1.5 times through, I see them trying to bring in Dane Dunning to kind of flip the lineup around, especially if we know how well the Astros hit lefties. If they start getting to Heaney, in the first or second inning, I feel like it could be an even shorter leash. But even so, if he gets through the lineup once and then maybe pitches to Yordan Alvarez his second time through, but then after that, it's Jose Abreu, I feel like he's going to get pulled for Dane Dunning at that point. I'm just kind of banking on that being before the end of the 4th inning. So that's my vibe on that. The Rangers have shown also with Heaney that they don't want him pitching long. They used him as a reliever for a lot of this last month of the regular season. And the games he did start, he didn't go 5 innings in 4 of his last 5 starts to end the regular season. And again, was used out of the bullpen a lot. So I feel like this is just what they want to do with Heaney. Maybe let him go once, 1.5 times through the lineup before getting other guys in there.
So I definitely don't hate your play. I think there's a lot of merit behind it, but I see Andrew Heaney at plus 1,000 to get a win tonight. And he's had decent numbers this year against the Astros. In 4 starts, he was 1-0 with a 2.75 ERA. So just the total dart. I mean, you're getting plus 1,000 to get a win here. He's got to win. He's pitched into the 5th inning a few times against Houston on the season. Now, earlier in the year, Houston actually sucked against Southpaws. They couldn't hit them to save their life. Yoron was out of the lineup a lot with injuries. Tucker is really the only guy that could do anything. Obviously, that lineup's coming back around. They're all healthy. Everybody's hitting. So it's certainly an uphill battle, to say the least, for Andrew Heaney here tonight, but it's plus 1,000. So I'm just gonna throw a little money. You never know. Let's see what happens.
Listen, even though I am on the under on his outs, there is a definite scenario where this comes through, because if the Rangers get a couple runs early off of Urquidy, and Heaney's now pitching with the lead, and he's rolling right along and throwing up zeros each inning, I could see them just trying to stretch him out, especially because they play again tomorrow. They've they want to save some of their bullpen guys for tomorrow. So I totally understand.
Rangers are minus 115 on the money line tonight. So I mean, like, you're getting their starting pitcher at plus 1,000 to get a win on a game and on a team that is a minus 115 on the money line. So I don't know.
Listen, on these pitcher win bets this year, you've been hitting on them. So
I've been doing pretty good. This one, but they're like plus 200. Like the Zach Wheeler one against the Twins is like plus 200. It's like, hey, 2-1 on a pitcher that's minus 150 in the money line. They're minus 150. You're getting plus 1,000 to get the. I keep checking to make sure I'm not making it up. Like that's.
I think it's because his outs prop is so low.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's what it is. Yeah. So now it's at plus 950. So people are betting it. We're moving down a little bit. We got like a boost on this. We got 25% boost on DraftKings. Perfect. Let's boost the plus 900 to get the win here, and we'll make a play tonight.
There you go. Listen, yeah, I mean, last night, I cashed on Max Scherzer's outs prop going under. Barely. He pitched 4 innings and was out, but his prop was at 12.5. But I think that just in general might lead the Rangers to say okay, maybe we can leave Heaney out there for a little bit if he's rolling. Listen, I can't knock the bet because it's a plus 1,000 bet.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, understand that I'm speaking long term here.
Yeah.
But 10 to win 100 isn't the worst play.
Not at all. All right, so that's about it for us. Again, we broke down some Thursday night football bets, some college football week 8 bets, and some props and some picks for these postseason games today. So enjoy them all. Good luck with your own bets. Tomorrow's show, me and Howard Bender will be giving out some of our Sunday NFL bets and player props, touchdown predictions for the weekend's game. So definitely come back for that one. Stay tuned for that. Coming up after us, by the way, on Bettor Sports Network, YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern, the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show with Eric Balkman. Then at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube show, we got Thursday Game Day Preview with Jon Impemba coming back here, and Howard Bender on that Thursday Game Day Preview show. And then we got the BettorCast rolling again tonight on the BettorCast app for Jaguars-Saints Thursday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. So go download the app, the BettorCast app, and play to win some cool prizes and collectibles. Scan that QR code right there. Go to the BettorCast app in the Google Play, Apple app stores, and download that and play along. All right. Good luck with all of our bets tonight, John. Awesome stuff today. Full show of some a lot of sports. And good luck with all your own picks. And we'll see where Andrew Heaney ends up at the end of the night.
Hey, you as well, Dan. I'll talk to you.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys later.